We have Elizabeth Gillette here from us from Oregon. She's come a long, long way. And she is a writer, and she speaks about how love conquers the greatest tragedy of our time, abortion. Like so many women, Elizabeth has experienced abortion firsthand. The traumatic experience shook her faith and caused devastating side effects. I'm going to get weepy. Just thinking, I've heard her speak some. She spoke at the gala last night. She has a powerful story, but even a more powerful message of love and healing. So she is now the mother of 4 living children and is a passionate advocate for pro-life work. So she's going to give us a presentation, and then we'll have a Q&A after that. So I welcome Elizabeth to the stage.
Oh, hello. I love being after the sidewalk advocate speakers because they don't know this, but they are the ones saving lives. Literally, in the immediate sense of the word, they are the ones saving lives. Had there been someone on the sidewalk in front of the McMinnville, Oregon Planned Parenthood, I would have my child today. In the car, driving to the Planned Parenthood, my boyfriend was driving and I'm in the passenger side. I plastered my face against the window and prayed to God that the tire would blow. I prayed to God that a deer would run in front of our car and we would total the car and we'd careen off into the ditch and I would be able to walk away, right? And then I thought, okay, the car didn't careen off into the ditch and the tires are fine. Somebody is going to be on that sidewalk. I know it. Please, Lord, please have somebody be standing on the sidewalk. I will run to them, and with their courageous presence, I will be able to stand up to my boyfriend, and I'll be able to say enough is enough. And nobody was there. And years later, I was speaking in Oregon at their convention, and I told the story. And this elderly woman came up to me in tears afterwards, and she said, I owe you the biggest apology of my entire life. She said, I live in McMinnville. I'm a sidewalk advocate, and they told us they didn't do abortions at that facility, and so we didn't go there to pray. Her devastation, I think, was probably greater than mine because she was deceived too. And I think that's the theme, right? That's the theme. The abortion conglomerate, they thrive on fear and they thrive on deception. And so many people in America are deceived. And I was deceived. And my boyfriend was deceived. And the sidewalk advocates were deceived. And it just keeps going like a snowball rolling down a hill, getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And it feels impossible to stop it. It really does. But there is someone who already stopped it. We've already won. We already have. And today I do want to warn you that I'm going to tell you my nitty-gritty story from the beginning to the end. And I do see some children in here. And if it's too much, please just walk out and take a break. You will not hurt my feelings. But you need to know the truth. And you need to know the truth in as nitty and gritty a truth as I can tell you, because the deception is so pervasive. And the other side is going to tell you that this doesn't happen. And it does. It happens. So I found out that I was pregnant. I had already graduated college. I was living at home. I had a wonderful boyfriend I cared about so deeply. He was just great. And I told him, I'm pregnant. And he told me, this is the worst possible thing that could happen to me in my life in this moment ever. So I'm a young woman and I'm expecting the man in my life to step up and to be the man for me and to be the leader. But society has devalued men. They have devalued them. They have removed them from the head of the home. They have told them the lie right? That they don't have a right, that they don't have a voice, that this child isn't theirs, that it's not their body. Well, that's a lie. Because if he had known the truth, he would have stood up for me. But he couldn't. He was deceived and he couldn't. And so he pushed me to call Planned Parenthood. Now I knew, I was a Catholic, I was a Christian, I knew that there was a human being inside me. And yet, fear was starting to grow. And so I called Planned Parenthood to appease him, right? Yeah, I'll call. So I called. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is when the coercion of Planned Parenthood started. From the moment I dialed that number. Hi, this is Planned Parenthood. How can I help you? Yeah, I think I'm pregnant. Actually, I know I'm pregnant. I'm pregnant. Oh, okay. Well, we can offer you, depending on how far along you are, we can offer you abortion. And I said, well, I'm not sure that that's what I want. I really I wanted help, right? I wanted somebody to say, it's okay. Congratulations, right? Nobody said congratulations. It was like this horrible thing, right? Like, you're pregnant. Oh my goodness, your life is over. How stupid. And she said to me, you know, I think you do want an abortion because you're calling us. And women who call us, deep down, they know what they need, and that's an abortion, and that's what we can provide you. And I thought, wow, is that true? Is that why I called? Because kind of feels like gaslighting, but at the same time, maybe that's true. And I said, well, I don't think I do, but let's make an appointment anyway, just in case that is what I want. And she used this tactic that is really common, that you're going to see all the time. A sense of immediacy, this urgency. You need to get in here quick, because you only have until 10 weeks to use the chemical abortion, which is the easy procedure. There's another lie, by the way. We'll get to that. You have until 10 weeks, right? So you need to get in, and you need to get in right away, because we don't know how far along you are. You could already be 10 weeks along. We need to get you in here, and we're going to fit you right in, right? Because we care about you. So she makes me an appointment. And I'm thinking, this is an expensive appointment. Are you going to take my money even if I cancel? She said, no, you can cancel the appointment, but we can't guarantee that we can fit you right back in. So you're going to miss your window. You see how this immediacy is starting to be the railroad of a choice, right? This is not informed consent at this point. This is coercion. So I take a half a day off work. I meet my boyfriend. I get into his car. Why I would give him the ability to drive me there? Stupid, right? I had no escape at this point, and we start driving. Oh Lord, make the car get in a crash, right? Put somebody on the sidewalk. Unfortunately, those didn't happen. And we got to the facility, and we get inside, and it's gray. Everything is gray. It's drab, it's dark, it's dirty, it's gray. And there's a window, and we walk up to the window, and my boyfriend puts $860 on the counter and slides it through the window. Right? And then he's like, oh, the money, right? Oh, I don't want to let that go. And I stood there and I said to the lady, if I change my mind, is he going to get that money back? Right? Because I want to change my mind. I'm still thinking about how am I going to get out of this? And she goes, I guess. But the minute you walk into the facility, you're going to pay for the facility. The minute the doctor comes into the room, you're going to pay for the doctor. The minute you have an ultrasound, you're going to pay for the ultrasound. So I guess at the very end, if you don't want to take the pill, we can give you like $15 back. I mean, think about that for a minute, right? Think about that for a minute. How much does your pregnancy resource center charge for an ultrasound? That would be $0. That would be $0 because love doesn't cost anything, does it? That price was already paid. So I go back into this facility that was straight out of the 70s, and orange is my favorite color. And I remember thinking, I'm digging the vibe, right? I'm like, orange is my favorite color. Keep that in mind. And I'm sitting on the table, and the doctor comes in, and she actually was very nice. She was. She was a human being, and she was very nice. And I think that she thought she was doing the right thing. And the deception is so deep, and it's so pervasive, that she came into that facility knowing I didn't want to be there. And she did her best to convince me that the abortion was the right thing, because she thought that having an abortion was going to save my life. It was going to be the best thing for me. And that's truly what she believed. But nobody counseled me. Nobody told me there were other options. Nobody told me about parenting. Nobody told me about the Oregon Health Plan, which would have covered every single cent of my doctor's bills, all the way through pregnancy, through birth, and then beyond. Nobody told me that was available to me in Oregon. Nobody told me that every child in Oregon is covered until their 18th birthday for every single medical procedure that they would need. Nobody told me that. Nobody told me that there were 3 crisis pregnancy centers in Salem. Nobody told me that. But here I found myself sitting on this waxy paper that you sit on in one of those fake doctor's clinics. And she comes in, the doctor comes in, "Hi, I'm Dr. So-and-so, and what brings you in, and you're pregnant, and it's okay, we can take care of that. We're going to take care of that for you." Wait, did you know that being pregnant is a problem? Because it's not. It's not. And in case you don't know what to say, if somebody comes up to you and says that they are having a crisis pregnancy or an unplanned pregnancy, do you know what the answer is? Do you know what to say to them? Congratulations. That's what you say. That's the only acceptable thing to say. But no congratulations. It was, well, let's take a look, right? Let's see how far along you are. Let's see if we can give you the pill, or if we're going to go next door and have a surgery. That was the option. That was the option. So I had a transvaginal ultrasound because I was very, very early on. And the wand is moving inside my body. And I mean, raise your hand if you've had an ultrasound, or if you've seen an ultrasound, or if your partner's had an ultrasound. You know, right? The wand moves and the picture moves, right? It's a really beautiful thing. It's science, right? Moves with the wand, right? She's got the screen facing away from me, and she's chattering along about how beautiful it is to see the biology of the human fetus. And I just had a woman in here yesterday who had identical twins. It was amazing, and they had the same sac, and it's so rare. And I remember thinking, oh my goodness, maybe she kept her babies because it was so rare, right? And I was grasping for some way to have the strength to keep my baby. And I thought these weird connections of if that woman yesterday could have saved her twins, then I know I'll be strong enough to save my baby. And I said, did she save them? Did she keep them? Oh no, honey. No. She came here for a purpose just like you. Okay. There's your baby. I see it. There's the sac. We got a fetal pole. Click, clack, clack. He said, I want to see my baby. Oh, honey, that's not our policy. Please remember that my boyfriend is standing right here. I said, I need to see my baby. I want to see my baby right now. Show me my baby. She pushes a button, turns the screen around. The wand is continuing to move inside my body. It's very important that you understand this because this is the basis of coercion in Planned Parenthood. This is the kind of stuff they do. The wand is moving in my body. I feel it moving in my body. It's really hard not to feel that. It's a transvaginal ultrasound. And that picture that she showed me was a still shot. It was not moving. It was a photograph. And she says, you see right here, honey? There's no heartbeat. I'm so sorry to tell you. You are miscarrying. That's not even the worst part. I'm sorry, I'm probably going to tear up. I knew she was so full of it. And my boyfriend goes, "Oh, thank God."
Oh.
And I found myself in this position where I had to choose between protecting my boyfriend's future, right? Because remember, this was the worst possible thing that could ever happen to him. I didn't want to ruin his life. And fighting for my child. And women, we are programmed to follow men. We really are, when we love them. We're programmed to protect our family. And I had a relationship with this man. And I did not want to ruin his life. And yet, I couldn't take the pill. The doctor gave me a little Dixie cup with a pill inside, and she hands it to me. And at this point, I'm bawling. I cannot take this pill. I do not want to take this pill. I want to leave. No one will let me leave. No one will take me out of there. Pretty soon, she starts to get upset. "You know, I have appointments after you, and I have people waiting." And I said, "Well, can I take it home? Can I think about it? If you leave this facility, I cannot guarantee you that you're going to be back in time. You're going to have a surgery. That's not a fun procedure. You do not want a surgery. You want the quick, easy, painless way." Right? That's what you're going to feel so much relief when you walk out of here having taken this pill. You're going to feel relieved, honey. All of these feelings that you're feeling, those are normal, and they're going to go away as soon as you do this. I promise you. You're going to feel relieved. I still couldn't take it. She goes, "You know what? You can't stand here any longer. I have other people that I need to see, other appointments behind you." Wrap your head around that one. I mean, it's back to back to back to back killing. She takes me back into her private office and sits me down and says, "Here, you can think in here." Puts the cup right in front of me. The pill's in that cup right there. You take that pill. 45 minutes I sat in there. 45 minutes I begged my boyfriend to take me home. 45 minutes he said, just take it, you're fine. I can't have a baby right now. It's the worst possible thing that could ever happen to me in my entire life. So in my brain, the only way to get out of there was to take that pill. That pill was the key to get out of that facility. I let fear steal my child from me. I didn't realize that I was an autonomous human being and I could have got up and left anytime I wanted to. This was before Uber. This was before Lyft, right? It's 2010. So I took the pill. Now I didn't know that a state away from me, Dr. George Delgado had just given the abortion pill reversal to the first woman and successfully saved a baby, but I didn't know that. Nobody did, not yet. That his life-saving work could have saved my son. I didn't know that. And that's why it's so important that you guys go out and tell everyone that that pill is real and that women have a choice. Even after coercion, even after they come out of these facilities, they still have a choice, and there's a chance. There's a chance. There is. I had the privilege of meeting Dr. George Delgado, and I can tell you firsthand, he's the most incredible doctor I've ever met in my life. You know what he said to me? "I'm sorry I didn't work fast enough to save your son. That man is a hero." So there I find myself getting into my boyfriend's car. I walked out of that Planned Parenthood facility a broken shadow of who I was. I was gone. I was dead. I died when I took that pill. I died. And the love I felt for him turned to hatred and disgust. Because how could I love someone who put me through this? And how could I love someone who killed my very own flesh and blood? What a coward. I hated him. I hated him. On the way home, I wanted the car to crash and kill us both. I'd rather die than live without my baby. And I got home, and I couldn't sleep that whole night long, knowing that the life that had been growing was now dying inside me, and I had done that to myself. And I had done that to my baby, and no one else was responsible but me because I put that pill in my mouth. You see, with chemical abortion, there is no separation, there is no buffer. With surgical abortion, a doctor puts an instrument into your body and kills your baby for you. You see how there's a separation there. With chemical abortion, you do that to yourself. You take that pill, you swallow that pill, and you kill your baby. All the guilt is on you. See, the chemical abortion is a 2-pill regimen. The first one you swallow in front of a doctor. Well, it used to be. Now you can take it in the privacy of your own home after you mail order the pill. See how dangerous this is? Over 24 hours, that pill blocks progesterone, and it starves your baby to death. It's a terrible way to die. Then 24 to 48 hours later, you take a second pill, and it begins your labor. They told me it would be like a double period. And I had crampy periods as a younger woman before my first baby was born. And they were pretty rough, okay? But I've had 4 children since then. And that second pill put me into a full labor. I locked myself in the bathroom, vomiting with the pain, waves of contractions, front to back, wraparound contractions, and then the bleeding started. A double period? Are you kidding me? I almost bled to death. There was blood pooling down onto the floor, blood all over the toilet. There was blood in the tub, and it wouldn't stop. And the contractions and the contractions and the contractions and the contractions until I felt pressure. And I reached down in between my legs and I pulled out an amniotic sac the size of a tennis ball, transparent, slightly yellow, covered in blood. And inside, floating there, was my perfectly formed son, with recognizable eyes, fingers, toes, body. They didn't tell me I was going to see my child. Of course they wouldn't tell you that, because if they did, no one would take that medication. No one would do that. And the worst part is, I was in this bathroom completely alone until I realized I don't know what to do with my baby. So I flushed him. Into the septic tank on my family farm that is now a graveyard. And then I realized several years later that septic tanks fill up and they have to be pumped and emptied. And now I don't know where my son is. The truth of chemical abortion is that this is brutal. It is brutal. Women are not being told the truth. They're not being told what's going to happen to them. They're being lied to, they're being coerced. They are not ready for what they're going to see. The nightmares started almost immediately. Later, a therapist told me that nightmares are really common when you have post-traumatic stress disorder. I couldn't figure out why, night after night, I was dreaming about someone special in my life. Maybe it was my dad, maybe it was one of my 3 brothers who I loved dearly. But I saw them brutally killed every night. Once I walked in my dream world, and I saw my brother looking up at me, having drowned in a bathtub. What? Why would my brain make that sort of dream, right? Stress is such a weird, scary, strange thing to experience. In fact, stress has affected my life so deeply in the 12 years since my abortion that I now suffer from a disorder called adrenal insufficiency, where I don't make enough cortisol hormone to keep myself healthy because I have lived in severe and constant stress since that moment. So my abortion 12 years ago is still causing me mental and physical health problems today. I still have post-traumatic stress disorder. I have a service dog named Friar Tuck. He's the best. But he alerts me when I'm going through a panic attack, or when I need to sit down, or when I need a shot of cortisol. I really can't live without him. Which is sad, because I once was a whole person. But that's what this does. That's what it does. And my story is not special. I'm not special. I don't want to be special. I don't want to be a celebrity. I don't want to be remembered. I don't want to make money off the death of my son. And the saddest part of all is that it's not special. It's one of hundreds of thousands that are just like it. See, statistics tell us that 1 in 4 women have had an abortion. Look around you. 1 in 4 women have had an abortion, and that number is higher in our churches. 1 in 3. We are the walking wounded, and we are the walking dead. Don't assume that this has not touched your church, because after you have an abortion, that secret is something you're going to hang on to with everything you have. Because if you admit that you killed your own child, then what does that say about you as a human being? What does that say about you as a Christian? You murdered your own child. One summer, I think it was about 2 years after I made this horrible choice, I was sitting out on the farm fields in Oregon. I grew up on a farm. It was after the harvest. It smelled like sweet hay. My brother and I were sitting there talking about abortion. We had just had a very liberal law pass in favor of abortion. And my brother looked at me and he said, "It's so disgusting. How could anyone do that?" He didn't know. I was still living in that darkness. It's not his fault. He didn't know. And I thought, how could I have done that? How could I have? I was so afraid. I let fear steal my child from me, and I didn't even fight. And that's what's happening. Women can't fight. They don't know how to fight. Nobody's staying up for us. Nobody's standing up for us. It's a beautiful thing to come to Nebraska and realize that, wow, I'm not walking on eggshells. Wow, look at all these conservative people. Wow, look at all these people fighting for the right to live. You're doing it. You are. You are. It's so commendable. It's so commendable. And yet, you're really just getting started. You really are. Because chemical abortion is literally everywhere. You can go on charlie.com. There's this AI. Have you ever heard about, raise your hand if you know what charlie.com is. Oh boy, hold on to your seats. Charlie.com is an AI paid for by the abortion conglomerate. And you can go on charlie.com and say, "I'm pregnant." And the AI will lead you through a systematic list of questions. And it always, no matter what you put in, always follows this flow chart to where it tells you you need an abortion and they're going to send you the pill. And if it's illegal in your state, it thought of that one too. Don't worry, it just takes you on a little farther down the flow chart, and they have volunteers that will get the medication, unpack it, pack it into an envelope without anything written on it, and send it to your mailbox. Get ready, because you're about to have an abortion alone on the bathroom floor, and there will be no ambulatory services to protect you. Did you know that the chemical abortion has a black box warning on it? Do you know what a black box warning is? That's when the FDA says that the pill is so dangerous, they have to put a specific warning on it. It's not like Tylenol. There's no black box warning on Tylenol. I took a Tylenol this morning and I'm fine. But 25% of women that take the chemical abortion pill will end up in the emergency room because it won't work. And they'll bleed out. If you take the chemical abortion pill and you haven't had an ultrasound and you have an ectopic pregnancy, you're gonna die. And I'm not saying that to be scary. You assume it's working. You're bleeding, you have contractions, but nobody's gone in to take care of your very life-risking ectopic pregnancy. You're gonna end up in the emergency room, and some other doctor is gonna have to clean that up for you. Luckily, if you get there in time. If you get there in time. Women die from this. In fact, I met a woman when I spoke at the Supreme Court last spring. Her husband's serving some time in jail because he spiked her drink with the chemical abortion pill that he procured online. Nebraska, wake up, because this is what you're fighting next. This is it. This is ground zero. Now, I don't want to just leave you with all the doom and the gloom, right? Because my story didn't end there. It didn't. Because I know a man. I know a man who died in my place. He said, Elizabeth, I love you. I call you by name. Come back to me. So I did. After 4 years of the most horrific depression, eating disorder, I wouldn't eat. I weighed 112 pounds. I had 2 more crisis pregnancies after my abortion. You know, I lived the life that most young adults are living, unfortunately. I was trying to find love where I thought that I would find it, in the wrong people, in the wrong places, in the wrong relationships, and in the wrong actions. I got pregnant a second time, and thank God I had the strength to keep my daughter. She's 12 now. Her name is Felicity. Because she brought me joy. And I started to find my way back to Christ. But you know, it doesn't happen overnight. And that's why we have to be patient with these women and these doctors and all of the people that are involved in this. Because you can't come back overnight. Some do, but most, it's going to take a process, right? You're so deep in it. You need to be shown how to get out of it. I got pregnant again. And I kept him as well. His name is Titus. I named him Titus because there's a passage in the Bible that says that the disciples were surrounded by fear and surrounded by conflict on the outside, and they were surrounded by fear and conflict on the inside, and so they sequestered themselves into a room, and they were comforted by the coming of Titus. And his coming was my comfort. It was. And after he was born, baby in a carrier, 4-year-old Felicity, I said, enough of this. Enough of living like this. This is awful. And I went to confession. And I faced the priest eye to eye. And I said everything I had done. And I gave him the secret of that abortion. And I said, I will never be silent about this again. Because what I keep secret, the devil owns. Do not be afraid of confession. Do not be afraid to speak your sin. Because sin is sin, right? Do not be afraid to speak that up. Give it up, own it, get rid of it, and watch the devil flee. And that is what he did. Flee he did, because my life turned around. Now, granted, I still live a bumpy life, right? I have consequences. But I'm not alone anymore. I'm not alone. And I want to tell you a beautiful story. Just raise your hand if you know what contemplative prayer is. Does anyone know contemplation? Okay. Contemplative prayer, it can come at people a little bit differently, but for me, I'm an imaginative artist. I paint, I draw, I write, I sing. And I went to a John Paul II healing retreat. And just so happens that I was in the triad with the Archbishop sample. How does this happen? Right? It's just me. And God was like, we got to chat, Elizabeth. So I'm in this triad, and we're praying, and Archbishop Sample puts his hands on me, and this other young man puts his hands on me, and I'm thinking, I don't have to heal from this anymore. I've done the healing. It's been 10 years. That's funny. He says to me, you're funny, Elizabeth. And the Archbishop goes, I mean, I really do believe in healing, but I don't really feel stuff, right? I'm not a feely guy. And I'm like, okay, let's do this. Archbishop Sample puts his hands on me. I close my eyes. And they lead us in prayer. They say, go to a place that God wants you to go to. Go to a place where you need to feel healing. And I'm thinking, oh, it's going to be healing from the blah, 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 blah. Something that's on my mind. It's just, I'm really angry and passionate about. No. I found myself in a dark room, face to face with my Savior. And he was holding my baptismal candle in his hand. And he invited me to go on a journey. Before we went, he said, Elizabeth, are you ready? Are you sure? Do you want to follow me? And I said, yes, I think so. Yes. Are you sure? I said, yes. And he took my candle and he went, that was my salvation. That's my salvation. Don't blow out my candle. Don't leave me in the dark. And then I found myself standing over the toilet. And Jesus took my candle and he dropped it into the toilet and he flushed it away. You see, he knew exactly what I had done. And I had been forgiven. But he was taking me back there so that I could heal. And then he took me up to his mother in heaven. And there was my son, sitting in her lap, alive and well, as they all are. I promise you, they all are. They are. And he said, are you ready now? Yes, I'm ready. And he breathed on my candle, and it sprang to life. And my son laughed in delight at that flame. And he handed the candle to my son, who giggled and laughed. And Mary said, I've got him. It's okay. That's the beauty of our faith, right? It's the beauty of who we are. I'm not a post-abortive mom anymore. I was. But I'm a redeemed child of God. But my ministry isn't just about telling my story. I tell it because you need to know the truth, right? How many of you knew exactly what a chemical abortion was like? You can hear about it a little bit, but until someone tells you the truth, right? Did you know that you would hold the amniotic sac with your child in the palm of your hand, right? But ministry, it goes beyond just knowing the truth. What is your responsibility? What is your responsibility as pro-life warriors? What is your responsibility as Christian people? It is your job. It is your responsibility, and it is your privilege to find these people and offer them your hand and walk them out of this darkness with love. You must do it. You must. You do not have a choice. You must offer them hope. You must offer them forgiveness. You must show them the truth. You must show them the way. I wrote about a lot of this in my book. This is the last one I brought 50, and I ended up with one left, so it's providential, I think. But in this book, I talk about all the things that you can do, right? And some of them are so very basic, like make sure you're not angry. It's okay to be angry. God gave us anger as a feeling. It's okay to be angry. But be careful. Be careful that your anger is not self-righteous. Be careful that your anger leads you to do the right thing in love. Because if you let your anger lead you, you will push women like me right back into the darkness. I spoke about it last night a little bit at the gala. When I came out of this darkness and I was ready to tell the truth, I found myself wedged between two polarized opposite sides. You see, as long as I was pro-choice, the pro-choice side applauded my bravery. But the minute I said, I need help, I'm sad, I'm grieving my son, I'm grieving my child, I need help, they scoffed at me and they said, you don't have anything to be sorry for. You exercised your right. And then they scoffed at me and they made fun of me and they told me that I didn't have a right to mourn my child. They excluded me. They turned their back on me. There was no counseling. There was no support. There was no second appointment. Nothing. Nothing. You took the pill. You exercised your right. Now you're an idiot because you think you did something wrong. It's just weird logic. But the most sad part of all is that when I came to the pro-life side and I asked for help, I was met by the most severe judgment I've ever experienced. Christian people have told me that I should die, that I should be facing the death penalty, that I should be facing jail. They have told me over and over and over and over and over again that I'm a murderer. Yeah, I got it. I got it. Believe me, I know. I held his dead body. I have been told, I can't wait till the flames of hell lick your toes. Is that what we want to be? Is that who we want to be? Now, that's not all of us, right? But that part is awful loud. And that's what makes women stay in the dark, secret places of that sin. They're afraid. And they walk a tightrope between judgment and judgment, and they don't know which side to turn to for help. That's on us. That's your responsibility as a Christian. There are a few things that I see, a few mistakes that I see time and time again. And I think that the irrational judgment is probably the most pervasive. It's the most dangerous. But I'm going to talk to you about one more. Like me or hate me after I talk about this, that's not really my concern, but I want to talk to you about adoption. Because many people don't understand the logic that goes through a woman who's experiencing crisis, what goes through her head, okay? Many of us offer our services as adoptive families. And what a beautiful thing is adoption. I have adopted cousins. I have adopted extended family, and it's beautiful. But what does a woman in a crisis situation feel when the first thing she hears or sees is adoption is the loving option? Right? Have you ever heard that slogan? Adoption, the loving option. Do you know what you're telling her? That keeping her baby is not loving. Adoption is a loving option, not the. It's a loving option. And when she's afraid, she sees that and she goes, if I keep my baby, I'm not loving. I'm not good enough to be a parent. I don't have enough love for my child. I better have an abortion. Because it would be easier to terminate my child now than form a bond and hand my baby to a stranger. Please be careful. You can talk about adoption anytime. You can talk about it later. You can talk about it at 6, 7, 8, 9 months pregnant. You can talk about it after the baby's born. What she needs is support. Congratulations! What do you need? What do you need? Do you need a place to stay? Do you need food? Do you need health care? Do you need a car? Do you need gas? We have so much of a surplus of all of this if we work together. There really is no excuse. We have a surplus. It's coming out of our ears nationwide, right? And it's not a woman's responsibility to hand somebody a baby. My fertility is not yours, and your infertility is not my responsibility. And if you want to know more about that, I do write about it in the book. But it's something that I wanted to bring up because now that you're facing chemical abortion, you're going to need to be awful careful how you go about it. Awful careful. Words matter. And I myself thought, I could never give up my child. Better to do it now than later. If shock is insufficient blood flow to your heart, lungs, and organs, then emotional shock is insufficient love flow to your heart and your soul. I'm going to say that again. If physical shock, when you have an accident, is insufficient insufficient blood flow to your organs, right? You get cold, you shake, right? You don't have enough blood in your body. Then emotional shock is insufficient love flow to your soul. This nation is in emotional shock. My generation is in emotional shock. Your children are in emotional shock. Maybe you are too. Maybe you participated in an abortion. Maybe you had an abortion. You're still loved. It's there. It is. I spoke this morning about how we need to prepare the horse for battle. You do. My best friend Aurora and I, we met over horses. Hugely passionate about horses. Training horses, jumping horses, riding horses, rodeo horses. I love horses, can you tell? Do you know how much work it takes to prepare a horse for a horse show? Or to train a horse to jump over a fence? Hours. I mean, you're getting up in the morning, you're feeding, you're doing hours and hours of training, you're ground driving, you're putting the saddle on, you're sacking them out. I mean, so much work. That's what I mean when I say prepare the horse for battle. Prepare yourself. Do the work, do the prayers, do the inward thinking, go to confession, ask for support, go to adoration, Find people to do this work with you. Prepare your horse for battle, as if it only depended on you and your work. Do it all. Do it diligently. Work hard. Every day, do not skip your training session. Feed your horse. And remember that victory, it isn't yours. All that work, it isn't yours. No matter what you do, no matter how hard you work, victory is the Lord's.